Hello, I'm Steve Wagaman, president of the Chamber Music Society of Detroit. And it's my incredible honor and pleasure to be here with Emanuel Ax, who is opening the 78th season of the Chamber Music Society of Detroit on Saturday, September 11th at 8 p.m. Mr. Ax, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
When I saw your program, it's all works of Chopin and all late opus numbers. And it reminded me that at that time of Chopin's life, tuberculosis was running about as rampant as COVID does now. Did that factor into your thinking on this program?
Not really. No, there was no medical reason. There were just a number of the late pieces that I hadn't actually ever learned and ever played, and so I was, we were doing nothing but volunteer stuff for a whole year, and I thought I would take the opportunity to learn some of this music, and now I'm going to try and play it, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, it's just such beautiful music. And I looked it up, all written between 1842 and 1846, and Chopin was really sick with TB.
Yeah. He was generally not a strong and well person, even from the beginning of his life. I think he played a total, in public, he played a total of less than 30 concerts in his life.
Wow.
He was not someone who was a born performer. He was apparently a great pianist. Well, you can see that in the music, of course. And of course, one of the greatest composers of history, but not a performer, really. I think he admired Liszt's ability to play Chopin's music.
Right. Yes. Well, do you mind if we talk about some of the pieces?
Sure. Happy to, yeah.
You've only left out 3 opuses between opus 51 and 61.
Yeah, the F minor ballade, opus 52, I played for many years,
right.
And it's very familiar. And I guess in terms of time of the program, I thought this was the one to leave out because it's very popular.
Right. Well, and then the obvious chestnut of the heroic Polonaise. Who needs it?
Well, I'm hoping that's another piece I never played until I learned it recently, mainly because it was Rubinstein's calling card, and I was always afraid to learn it. And now that I'm 72 years old, I thought I'd better try it before it's too late. So I may wind up doing it for an encore if I have the courage.
Okay, well, please do. I heard Rubinstein do it when he was 89.
Well, he was a special case in so many ways.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Why don't we start with the last piece on the program? You're doing the 3rd sonata, the B minor, opus 58.
Mm-hmm.
That's not one of the new pieces to you?
No, that's another piece I played for a very long time. Yeah. Well, it's, these are every single one of these pieces is a masterpiece. And this sonata is, I suppose, more of a sonata-like piece than the B flat minor sonata.
Right.
With the one with the funeral march, which has that very weird and incredibly nervous-making last movement, and the funeral march, which is so depressing, and it's equally great. But this particular one is probably more along the sonata idea. There's a brilliant last movement. There's a glorious slow movement, quite long. Very short scherzo, and an incredibly inventive, poetic, whatever you want to call it, first movement. It's a miraculous piece.
Yeah.
I've played it all my life, and again, it's a matter of age. I hope it's not getting worse and worse as things go on, but
I'm sure not. I'm sure not. Well, Chopin's harmonies are just so incredibly complex and subtle, and the inner voices are so fantastic in this late music.
Yes.
I imagine it only gets better as you age.
Yeah, I think he was more and more affected by his love of Bach. Especially in the late pieces, you see so much of the counterpoint. Harmonically, I think he's very much in a way ahead of his time. I keep thinking that Wagner wouldn't exist without Chopin. That's just my own take on it. But certainly the way he moves from the main key of a piece into really radical departures, and how he handles the modulations and so forth. I think I'm hoping that someday I can have a talk with Jacob Collier. I don't know if you know that name.
No.
He's a young British jazz everything composer who's one of the, I think, one of the Mozarts of our time, actually. And I hope to talk to him sometime about how Chopin gets from place to place, because I think he understands harmony in a very deep way.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of kind of wild harmonic departures, the Polony Fantasy. Yeah. There's one. Wow.
Yeah. Well, that again is it's really the level of invention is so remarkable, and the idea that he combines this Polonaise rhythm with the most radical and I don't even know the word, the most heavenly departures from that into areas which are unexpected, well, more than unexpected, miraculously unexpected. Yeah, it's hard for me to find the words about all of this, but I hope that all of it's pretty self-evident, quite honestly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, and thank you for not programming back to back, as I've seen it too often done, the Berceuse and the Barcarolle.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, the Barcarolle is new for me. The Berceuse is not new.
Okay.
Barcarolle is well. He never went to Venice, but I think he probably embodies Venice better than almost anybody except Offenbach. So
yeah,
that's another incredibly evocative piece, and harmonically so adventurous, but also the rhythmic invention is amazing. Yeah, well, the Berceuse is just, I think the Berceuse, I kind of put it together with the G flat impromptu because just the keys work. You have D,
yeah.
which in a way could be the dominant of G flat major, so kind of works like that. These are all pieces you can mix and match, and I suppose you could play them all in order, but I don't know. This seems to work well so far. I haven't really played this whole program ever, so we'll see. I haven't played a recital in months, so we'll see how it all goes.
Boy, we feel honored. That's
I'm honored as well, and I'm also very nervous. So we'll hope for
we are the friendliest audience on the planet.
Well, that's nice. That's nice.
And we don't have an active music critic. So
two wonderful things.
I guess another chestnut that right before the Berceuse on your program, the fourth Scherzo.
Right.
Yeah, that is that a new one, or that's been around for a while for you?
That's been around for a while for me, and that's probably of the four scherzos, this is the least played.
Yeah.
And in a way, the most the least explosive and the most quietly dramatic, I would say. With a miraculous C sharp minor middle, as beautiful and as touching as anything he ever wrote. And of course, the outer things are so hard. It's frighteningly difficult. So
yeah.
And it doesn't get easier.
That doesn't get easier with age.
Not at all. No.
What was it? What was it you said about the coda of the fourth Polony? Stop playing. The devil can play this.
Yeah, the fourth Polony. That's kind of like the coda of that piece is like the 100 Years' War.
Yeah. Right.
You know, especially the first 16 measures of the coda are you literally are in an ocean, in a storm.
Yeah.
You don't know exactly what's happening, but it's all logical.
Right.
All the notes actually do resolve. They just happen fast, and you kind of take it in, and it sounds right, but you can't figure out what it is.
Yeah.
So,
well, I guess there are places in these late pieces where you wonder, at a purely technical level, what on earth were you thinking? I played the Cello Sonata with somebody once, and there's two measures in the exposition and the recap which are just unplayable.
That, in fact, is the hardest, I think, the hardest Chopin piece.
Yeah.
I know that Yo-Yo and I worked on it for many years ago. We haven't done it for about 25 years, and I think we probably will never again. And there are things in the first movement that I think are literally unplayable. And it's interesting, Stephen Isserlis, who's a wonderful cellist and knows everything about everything, wrote me a note about the Chopin Cello Sonata, saying that I think in his last concert, Chopin played with Franchomme, with the cellist that he wrote it for, but he only played the last three movements. They didn't play the first movement.
A wimp.
So I don't know if it was just he didn't feel it was too long, he thought it was too long or whatever, but in any case, that's so I think the first movement of that is as hard as anything ever written.
Well, these pieces are just scattered with so many amazing things. And I think we've only left out the Nocturns and the Mazurkas you're playing. Of course, there are many Nocturns and many Mazurkas. You chose these because of where they fall in the period, or
just because that they're late pieces. So these are all new for me. The Opus 56 Mazurkas, the 55 Nocturns, the 62 Nocturne, the Barcarolle, the G flat major impromptu. Those are all new pieces for me.
Okay.
So
all right,
we shall see.
Well, I mean, we're just incredibly happy to be along for the ride on this.
One of the nice things about pieces like this is that no matter how badly they're played, they still sound good.
Somehow, I think
comforting thing to know.
I'm sure it's all going to be just incredibly beautiful. I think it's been about a decade since you've played for the Chamber Music Society of Detroit, but and I say that because I've been here a decade now, and you were going to play for us, I guess, sometime in the 1920 season, or was it last year? And this is kind of a rescheduling, but
scheduled. Yes, it was supposed to be last season, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I was so looking forward to it then, and I'm even more looking forward to it now.
Well, it's so nice to have the opportunity to be back and to play.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and just so you know what our COVID protocols are, we are requiring that the audience be vaccinated. Unlike Broadway, Boston Symphony, New York Philharmonic, others, we're not checking documentation at the door, but there's a great big warning sign. And then we do, anyone who wants to be seated in a socially distanced way, we have a special section set aside for that.
Well, at my age, I'm 72 now. Of course, I'm always worried and vulnerable.
Right.
So
Right.
I hope it all works out. For once, it's nice to be on stage alone.
Yes, yes.
No,
And we'll put the piano back even a little bit for you, just so that it's.
I'm sure it'll work out properly.
Yeah.
I trust the Chamber Music Society to be careful, and I will do my best as well. And we'll just hope for the best. It's been obviously a nightmare for the whole world, and we can only hope that somehow things will improve. It's all you can ask for.
Right.
Hey, well, thank you. And
thank you. And we will see you. I guess you're arriving tomorrow.
I'm arriving tomorrow. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And I'll meet you when you come to practice at the hall in the evening.
Fine.
And it'll be a great pleasure.
I'll look forward to it. Thank you
And
very much. Nice to see you, and thanks for talking.
Take care.